Hello? Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the Edijester. How are we, everybody? Coffee today. Colour all right? Your pen ants? Look at that. Nice dark. Lungo, it's called. Oh, that is lovely. I need it because it's wet and raining and miserable again. Welcome to Manchester. Now, Come Warrior Teacher, we're in the last run-up to the first session with the good new peeps. I'm very excited about that, including the great Dr. P. So, here we go. Let's talk urology. You're in the money. Urology, the study of your, urinaries. I hate that word, urinary. It's like, oh, it makes me, I don't know why, but it does make me shiver. Associated with toilets and a urinary. Don't want to talk about it really, but we're going to talk about it. Now this is something from 2021 that came across my field of vision that was posted on the Twitters by Graham Glinner. Hey, Gray, how goes it? So Graham Linehan posted this from 2021, but it's very interesting. So let's have a quick peep at what we're going to do in terms of urology from the Journal of Urology. Firstly, it tells me I'm prohibited from sharing it. Yeah. It doesn't actually mean that, does it? Oh, I can't upload it, apparently. I don't know what that means. The rates of psychiatric emergencies before and after gender-affirming surgery, in other words, genital mutilation, right? So Kai Dallas, Paige Coleman, Karen Elleber, Victoria Scott, Jennifer Anger, and Paulina Rayblatt have produced an abstract on this particular subject of suicidality post-genital mutilation by trans surgery. So, it says here in the abstract, you can actually access the whole PDF if you want to read it, if you have a particular interest in urology. Despite rates of comorbid psychological illness in cases of gender dysphoria, body dysmorphia, or just illness, being estimated to be 70% greater than the general population. So people who've got this particular symptom of a bigger malaise, of a bigger psychological malaise, they're estimated to be 70% greater than the general population in having comorbidities that go with it. So they're just terribly ill in most cases. There is a dearth of literature concerning this topic. There certainly is. In this study, we aim to assess rates of psychiatric emergencies before and after gender-affirming surgery in a large population-based cohort. So then they go on to talk about their methods. All persons undergoing feminizing vaginoplasty and masculinizing metoidioplasty and phalloplasty, well, what that should say really is all persons undergoing genital mutilation were identified in California from 2012 to 2018, over 6 years here. 6 years, this particular study. And that was from the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Developmental Data Sets. That's where, right, okay, so they got it from there. It's quite a time. I mean, because we don't know much about this, do we? So that's quite a time, isn't it, really? All emergency room and inpatient psychiatric encounters were identified. That's interesting. Emergency room and inpatient psychiatric encounters. So they've only got the ones where it's happened to people who were inpatients or turned up in the emergency rooms. They haven't got the rest. That's interesting in itself, isn't it? So they were all identified, and they noted those that involved an attempt at killing themselves. Rates of these encounters were calculated before and after gender-affirming surgery, genital mutilation, using date of first operation if staged. On average, patients had a balanced 2 year of observation before and after their surgery. So they've only looked at the 2 years post. My guess is between 9 and 13 when the real problems kick in. The results. Now, overall, 869 and 357 patients were identified undergoing vaginoplasty and phalloplasty, with 193, 22%, and 74, 20.7%, having at least one psychiatric encounter, meaning that there was some reason for a psychiatric encounter with a professional of some kind in that field. The rate of a psychiatric encounter occurring after surgery, if an episode prior surgery occurred, was 39%, 33% and 26% for the vaginoplasty and phalloplasty groups. The overall rate of attempts at killing themselves doubled after vaginoplasty, but the effect was not observed after phalloplasty. Now, that isn't that interesting. So it's the men that were affected. It was the men that killed themselves. That's a thing, you know. Men are better at it. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it's true. Women make more attempts, but men are more successful at it. Isn't that awful? What a terrible stat that is. The conclusions were that the rates of psychiatric emergencies are high both before and after gender-affirming care, genital mutilation. In other words, they're coming in and they're obviously terribly unwell psychologically. They're operating on them using this medical voodoo nonsense and butchery that gender-affirming care is in reality. And so they've got problems before and after that didn't go away, or that were in fact exacerbated by the interference of these gender butchers. Although both the phalloplasty and vaginoplasty patients, what they mean is, although both the men and women, have similar rates of psychiatric encounters, i.e. the morbidities, comorbidities, psychosis was part of the experience. They're more common in the men. The problem is that these attempts to hurt themselves are more common in the men. In fact, our observed data shows that the phalloplasty group, the women, are closer to the general population, while the men group's rate is more than double of the general population. Patients undergoing this doesn't say this, I'm saying undergoing these barbaric experiments with a history of prior psychiatric emergencies or feminizing transition are at higher risk and should be counselled appropriately. That last bit's extraordinary. And should be counselled appropriately. So they've come in, they're unwell, we're like gender loons, we're Fruit Loops, we're men, butler, they're the gender nutters. And the gender nutters, these people come in, the gender nutters go, it's all related to gender. It's all about everything's about gender, which is what they're like, isn't it now? It's all gender, isn't it? 2 for 1 at Asda, gender. Is it, eh? It is, isn't it? Going to the cinema, mind the gender. I'm going on a cruise. Where are you going? Genderland. They're nuts, right? So they're nuts and they're getting in the way of these people being treated properly. And when they do get in the way and they do damage them using these butchering surgeries, they end up with more problems after than they did at the beginning. And then there it is at the end. It said they should be counselled appropriately. We've hurt them. Now we've hurt them. Let's make sure we at least get the counselling right. It's absolutely vile on every level. Every level. This must be eradicated completely from the public sphere in any form whatsoever. It desperately needs to be done. Now, our Liz Truss, bless her, 50 days as Prime Minister. Hard time to change your slip. Right, so Liz Truss has put up a doobery, haven't she? A law, a thing. A private member's bill, which go nowhere, but a private member's bill that's going to be debated in the coming days to try and get sex sorted out and get rid of this gender rubbish. You want to get rid of this gender rubbish, Liz? I know the other politician. I know it's a hard call. I know it's a tough take. The easiest way to do it is to get rid of the GRA, remove all the trans nonsense from the Equality Act, and put out a statement saying it is an unreal cult and that should not be taught in any school, and that any teacher that does teach it is going to jail. That's what it needs. Now, so this is what Liz has done, but it's only partial. I've got problems with it. It all ceases. All of it. Gone. Get thee out and leave people alone with your gender wibble. So there we go. A little journey into the world of urology. Become a warrior teacher. I'll see you later.